Archbishop Desmond Tutu, Nobel Peace Prize laureate and veteran of South Africa's struggle against white minority rule, has died aged 90, the presidency said on Sunday. Tutu was diagnosed with prostate cancer in the late 1990s, and in recent years he was hospitalized on several occasions to treat infections associated with his cancer treatment. Ultimately, at the age of 90, he died peacefully at the Oasis Frail Care Center in Cape Town this morning. Dr. Ramphela Mafele, acting chairperson of the Archbishop Desmond Tutu IP Trust and coordinator of the Office of Archbishop, said in a statement on behalf of the Tutu family. She did not give details on the cause of death. In 1984, Tutu won the Nobel Peace Prize for his non-violent opposition to apartheid. A decade later, he witnessed the ends of that regime and he chaired a Truth and Reconciliation Commission set up to unearth atrocities committed during those dark days. The passing of Archbishop Emeritus Desmond Tutu is another chapter of bereavement in our nation's farewell to a generation of outstanding South Africans who have bequeathed us a liberated South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa said. Afghanistan's Taliban authorities said Sunday that women seeking to travel long distances should not be offered road transport unless they are accompanied by a close male relative. The guidance issued by the Ministry for the Promotion of Virtue and Prevention of Vice drew condemnation from right activists and called on vehicle owners to refuse rides to women not wearing headscarves. The move follows the Taliban barring many women in public sector roles from returning to work in the wake of their August 15 seizure of power, and girls remain largely cut off from state secondary schooling. It also comes despite the hardline Islamists seeking to project a moderate image internationally in a bid to restore aid suspended when the previous government imploded during the final stages of a US military withdrawal. Women traveling for more than 45 miles, that is 72 kilometers, should not be offered a ride if they are not accompanied by a close family member, ministry spokesman Akif Muhajir told AFP on Sunday, specifying that the escort must be a close male relative. The new guidance circulated on social media networks also asked people to stop playing music in their vehicles. Weeks ago, the ministry asked Afghanistan's television channels to stop showing dramas and soap operas featuring women actors. It also called on women TV journalists to wear headscarves while presenting. Muhajir said Sunday that the hijab, an Islamic headscarf, would likewise be required for women seeking transport. The Taliban's interpretations of the hijab, which can range from a head covering to a face veil or full body covering, is unclear, and most Afghan women already wear headscarves. All these measures are merely making Afghan women prisoners. New satellite images captured by a private US company show that Russia has continued to build up its forces in annexed Crimea and near Ukraine in recent weeks while pressing United States for talks over security guarantees it is seeking. Reuters could not independently verify the latest images from US-based Maxar Technologies. The Kremlin reiterated on Friday that it reserves the right to move its own forces on Russian territory as it sees fit and that Western countries were carrying out provocative military maneuvers near its borders. US, Europe, and Ukrainian leaders have accused Russia of building up troops again near Ukraine's border since October after an earlier brief build-up in April. When Maxar also released images, US President Joe Biden and other leaders say Moscow appears to be weighing an attack on Ukraine as soon as next month, something Moscow has repeatedly denied. The images released late on Thursday showed a base in Crimea, which Russia annexed from Ukraine in 2014, packed with hundreds of armed vehicles and tanks. A Maxar satellite image of the same base in October showed the base was half empty. President Vladimir Putin said on Thursday that Russia wanted to avoid conflict but needed an immediate response from the United States and its allies to its demand for security guarantees. Moscow has said it expects talks with the US official on the subject to start in January in Geneva. The UK government has decided not to impose further COVID-19 lockdown curbs before the new year in England, even as the devolved nations of Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland continue with party and nightclub bans to contain the spread of Omicron variant. After meeting with experts to assess the latest coronavirus data on Monday, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson confirmed that no additional restrictions will be imposed on the current Plan B measures in place, which call for compulsory face covering, working from home, and COVID vaccine certificate checks for large venues. We will continue to monitor the data carefully, but there will be no new restrictions introduced in England before the new year, Johnson tweeted. However, I would urge everyone to continue to act carefully given the rising number of Omicron cases. The most importantly, I urge everyone to get their first, second and booster jab without delay to protect yourselves and your loved ones, he added. The announcement has been widely welcomed by the hospitality industry in England, hoping to make the most of the business generated by New Year's Eve parties. UK Hospitality Chief Executive Kate Nichols said the decision not to go beyond Plan B measures in England had been a pragmatic and proportionate decision by the government. The world's population is projected to be 7.8 billion people on New Year's Day 2022 according to the US Census Bureau. This represents an increase of 74 million people or a 0.9% growth rate from New Year's Day 2021. Starting in the new year, 4.3 births and 2 deaths are expected worldwide every second, the Bureau estimated. Meanwhile, US grew by almost 7 lakh plus people over the past year and the nation's population is expected to be 332.4 million residents on New Year's Day 2022 according to the US Census Bureau. The Census Bureau estimate represents 0.2% growth rate from New Year's Day 2021 to New Year's Day 2022. Starting in the new year, the US is expected to experience a birth every 9 seconds and a death every 11 seconds, as well as an additional person from international migration every 130 seconds. Israel has approved a fourth vaccine dose for people most vulnerable to COVID 19, an official said Thursday, becoming one of the first countries to do so as it braces for a wave of infections fueled by Omicron variant. Nahuman Ash, the Director General of the Health Ministry, announced the decision at a press conference saying that doses would initially be given to those with weakened immune systems. We will continue to track the data on a daily basis and we will see if we need to broaden this recommendation to more of the population, he added. The Sheba Medical Center later said it would begin administering the fourth dose to heart transplant patients early on Friday. Israel launched trials of fourth dose at the center early this week, administering it to some 150 medical personnel who had got a booster in August. Israel was first among countries to roll out Pfizer coronavirus vaccine a year ago and began rolling out boosters last summer. But it saw a wave of infections blamed on Delta variant, and the officials have warned of another driven by the fast-spreading Omicron. Around two-thirds of Israel's population of nearly 9.5 million have received at least one dose of vaccine, and some 4.2 million Israelis have received all three doses, according to the latest health ministry figures. Putting the speculations to rest, government of Pakistan has confirmed the acquisition of at least 25 Chinese J-10C fighter jets for Pakistan's Air Force. Pakistan's Interior Minister Sheikh Rashid told reporters in Rawalpindi on Wednesday that a squadron of 25 China-made jets would participate in a flypast on 23rd March. The minister touted the Chinese jets as an answer to India's Rafale jets. However, the minister misarticulated the name of jets repeatedly during his interaction, referring to jets as Chinese JS-10. While rumors of Pakistan acquiring Chinese jets have been doing rounds for a long time, a big question mark remains over the claims of Chinese jets' competencies against the advanced French Rafale. Although China has been using J-10C multi-role fighter aircraft to replace its much older J-7E fighters at the People's Liberation Army Air Force brigades, it relied on its much advanced J-20 stealth jets when it came to monitoring of the crucial Taiwan Strait and East China Sea. The J-10C is considered a capable workhorse of the Chinese Air Force, but it falls below the cutting-edge capabilities of the Rafale. Commentary in Chinese state media often looks to replace the mid-sized fighter jet closer to Rafale, but Rafale's integrated architecture, superior sensors, and overall combat capabilities set it apart. Pope Francis used his New Year's message on Saturday to issue a clarion call for an end to violence against women, saying it was insulting to God. Francis, 85, celebrated a Mass in St. Peter's Basilica on the day the Roman Catholic Church marks both the solemnity of Holy Mother Mary as well as its annual World Day of Peace. Francis appeared to be in good form on Saturday following an unexplained incident on New Year's Eve where he attended a service but at the last minute did not preside over it as he had been expected to. Francis suffers from a sciatica condition that causes pain in the legs and sometimes a flare-up prevents him from standing for long periods. Francis wove his New Year's homily around the themes of motherhood and women, saying it was they who kept together the threads of life and used it to make one of his strongest calls yet for an end to violence against them. And since mothers bestow life and women keep the world together, let us all make great efforts to promote mothers and to protect women, Francis said. During an Italian television program last month, Francis told a woman who had been beaten by her ex-husband that men who commit violence against women engage in something that is almost satanic. Since COVID-19 pandemic began nearly 2 years ago, Francis has several times spoken out against domestic violence, which has increased in many countries since lockdown left many women trapped with their abusers. China ended its final week of 2021 with its biggest tally of local coronavirus cases for any 7-day period since subduing country's first epidemic nearly 2 years ago. Despite an arsenal of some of the world's toughest COVID-19 measures, the National Health Commission reported on Saturday 175 new community infections with confirmed clinical symptoms for December 31st, bringing the total number of local symptomatic cases in mainland China in the past week to 1,151. The surge has been driven mostly by an outbreak in the northwestern industrial and tech hub of Xi'an, a city of 13 million. The deepening outbreak in Xi'an will likely force authorities reform to curb transmissions quickly as and when cases emerge. The city under lockdown for 10 days as of Saturday has reported 1,451 local symptomatic cases since December 9, the highest tally for any Chinese city in 2021. While China's case count is tiny compared to many outbreaks elsewhere in the world, forestalling major flare-ups in 2022 will be important. Beijing will be hosting the Winter Olympic Games in February, and ruling Communist Party will hold once every 5 years Congress expected in the fall, where President Xi Jinping will likely secure a third term as party secretary.